All right. That's awesome. Thank you. Sadly, I don't think anyone's recording, so everyone's going to ask the same question in school. Um, but yeah, so pretty much the summary is because I'm recording now, it's going to be low res, but it's what I got. Basically, summary is context injection recovery, reconnecting the bots that are having issues with 11 labs so that they're not experiencing any more issues. And what else?
Everything should be back to normal. And then if it's not in there like right now, at least with this patch, or not this specific patch that's getting uploaded, but patches along with 2.1, there will be a lot of fallback metrics. In fact, there's a fallback tab now, and so you can pick all of your fallbacks. And so for like voice, you can pick fallback voices that maybe not are ideal, but like if something happens, they're there. And then you can have fallback LLM. So if something happens, it's at least there. So you can pick Claude on chat voice.
So for how fallback voices work, how did you run some sort of validation or check during a call to see if a voice is failing to pick up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
very cool. How's that? Is that like a timed thing, or is that waiting during the call initiation
It's
call?
it's uh like during the initiation, so it'll make a request to the TTS, and if there's any discrepancy in like normal output or any errors associated with it, because we can get that from the streaming, then if the error is present, then we'll just go to fallback and then kind of do the same thing, send a request. If there's errors, then move to the next one, and then if like all else fails, it's just like, well, we'll run with the one that had the least errors.
So it runs a multiple check on at the initiation. So if there's a fallback of the first voice, fallback a second, fallback a third, right? And
Same thing with LLM.
will that
Yep.
cause a break in, like, let's say we have the bot set up to say hello when somebody calls? Will there be a delay there, and will that break that intro? And they'll say, basically the user will be, "Hello, is somebody there?" And then the bot will finally pick up the
No,
potential expected
no.
behavior.
The good thing about voice is it's extremely fast, and so everything is streamed. Like, so chat is like inference, and then voice is streamed, and so we can make requests pretty fast in streaming, because we can get everything back pretty quick too.
All right. Quick note before we move on to whatever the next subject is. Is anyone else concerned for Jordan's health with that line of Red Bulls behind him? It's like I'd probably recommend a vacation, but not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, after this one.
After this one, man, I think you need to disappear for like a month.
Yeah.
Get everything, because you got to have a life with your wife, and you got a dog, and you got a couple dogs or something. I don't know. I saw a couple
Three dogs.
Three dogs. I saw him out there in one of his videos on Instagram or something like that. He's out there with a dirt bike in his yard, with the dog in the window. You guys seen that one? That's great.
Yeah.
That was AI, Jordan.
Yeah, that was me.
That was AI, right?
I haven't been outside in a long time. That was a fake version of me. That was an AI generated video.
You remember in that AI photo, there was just boxes and boxes of Red Bull in the back of his Jeep. Yeah.
with the real Jordan just like and a cutting knife, just opening the boxes very slowly one at a time.
Yeah.
I want to be cool like you guys. Like, where do you guys get the fancy lighting and stuff like that? Like, where's the, Jordan got me a fancy, Jordan showed me a fancy mouse to go buy. I got that little guy. By the way, it's killer.
I told you, I have two of them. I literally have one that goes with me everywhere, and then one that sits on my desk. I'll never use it.
I'll show you the keyboard he told me to go get. I got my cool keyboard, and then I just need a cool lighting now, man. Like, where's the cool lighting I got to put back here to get this to look, a color or something like that? Like where do I get that crap from?
What's the mouse?
MX Master. MX Master 3.
It's the 3, yeah. I got confused when I ordered it because they had 2 of them, and one was like $4 more than the other, and I didn't know what one to get, so I got the 3.
Yeah,
or something.
They have 2 models that are right next to each other. Make sure you get the latest model. I think one.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
it seemed like it's what it was. So yeah, like one of them, it was going to be a month before I got it, and the other one was like, have it tomorrow.
Everyone that I know that has one loves it. I do have the whole set, so I got the MX Master keyboard and the MX Master mouse.
They have a keyboard too. I like this keyboard. I love these keyboards. These are kind of cool. I feel like I'm like, you feel like you're doing something when you can hear yourself typing. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. I've used this
Oh,
one
yeah.
so much. I've had to redo the pads and everything on the bottom of this one. This
Ooh,
one is like the OG workworkhorse.
I
Don't
just love
lie.
the
Don't
idea
lie.
of
You
new batteries.
upgraded the slides so you can do those headshots quicker.
Just about, huh?
I just love I don't have to get batteries anymore. That's what I love about it. I didn't know
Hmm.
that until I got it. I was like, dude, that is sweet.
And
Yeah.
USB-C for those that care.
Yeah, and you can program it too.
Mm.
It's super good.
Yeah.
You can actually program it based on the application you're using. So if you're in Zoom, you can use it for like muting and video stuff. And then if you're in Canva or CapCut or Google or Chrome or anything like that, you can actually change what all the hotkeys and everything on it are for. I've never gone into it like that, but I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well,
I was
I
reading
have-
on that. I'm like, yeah, just want it to work.
For me,
Let
I run on a desktop, and so I don't have a Mac or anything. But you know how there's desktops on side of a Mac? I downloaded an application that before desktops were a thing in Windows. Anyways, now with this, I have that little button right here. By the way, this is a little button where your
Mhm.
thumb rests. For those that aren't aware, you
Yeah,
click
it's a
and
button.
drag, and it moves all the monitors. It's so cool.
Yeah, it
I
is
love
really
it.
fun.
Yeah. No crap, huh?
Yeah.
So the latest invention I did is I got rid of double monitors and went to one big one because I was told
Oh,
it's
yeah.
way better, way more fluid. And I did that, and I have to say, dude, that's like the best thing I did, other than the keyboard and the mouse. That was the third best thing I did.
Yeah.
Because like the monitors, it's like I don't know. I have them on those gas springs. I felt like they were just moving all the time. I don't know. And then dragging them, and then Macs, at least mine. Every time you turn it on, the monitors are all doing this. They're all on different. I have to go back. I have to rearrange them again. And so the one is like the greatest thing ever. I never even thought of having one monitor and putting, other than like a laptop where you're splitting the screen. But this is just as fluid as a dual monitor. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did switch to that too, because you have a second monitor or something like that. One takes forever to load, and then it's out of order and all your icons. I switched to just one bigger one. It makes things so much easier.
So Jordan, as far as the call goes, do you have any help that you would like from us? Is there anybody you need to test something out on our end? Anyone?
Yeah, I like breaking stuff.
Huh?
Yeah. I may have people who have the heavy hands come in there, break some stuff right before, because not a promise or anything, but I'm hoping to have this out by the morning, like last night. Well, besides like fucking patching stuff right now, and just like here or there requests from people of like things that need to be done. Like last night, I think we've kind of mastered knowledge. I would put a lot of money on a bet that that no one will have a more robust knowledge system than this, genuinely, ever.
Mm.
This.
Yeah. So, what was it? The other thing, is there anything that you want to go over build wise for like resilience or anything like that with bots? I'll be honest. It feels like the scope of V2.1 has been shifting, and it makes sense because if you're recognizing as you're building, oh, this could cause something to break if somebody doesn't understand it, right? So you're putting guardrails up, and then you recognize that means something else has to be said. So is there anything, do you kind of want to go over what's coming in 2.1, or you've already done that enough? You'll just do it in the final release once you make a notch for everything.
Yeah, I can show you one or two things I have just right here that I'm working on live, because the scope is growing. It's just like the breadth, if anything, is like, the idea is I don't want to touch it for a long time. So anything that may come up support wise, whatever, that I'm just trying to mitigate. Like, I see the support tickets that come in. Like, obviously the support team takes them, but I like look at them and I say, what is like going on here? Is it is it a real issue, or is it just like a setup thing? And majority of the time it's just like a setup thing. Like, when it comes down to it, it's usually prompt, or I'll see something that's like a setting that's like having the queuing on 0, like does a double request that double messages and things like that, or like tool calls that are improperly formatted will cause a tool call error or something like that. And so there's a ton of safety parameters on that. Like I think I posted this the other day of like tools now. Like when you go to create one and you do something like the name where you're like go high level contact dot first, something like that, we'll just automatically reformat it so it's proper JSON. And then like even in the names, I see people like following high levels thing where they do the contact dot first name, which is like usually fine, but in like a JSON argument, it's probably better to do it like this and more reliable output.
Yeah.
We'll just reformat everything. And then a lot of people have, when they're first getting into the tools, is like, what do I put here? What do I put here? And so just besides like the tool tabs, it's just you can fill example, and then we'll have, things that pop up here for you.
So one of the things that I don't think many people are understanding is you said that no numbers can be used in either the tool name or the parameter name, correct?
They technically can, but usually I just say no is like a best practice, because then they get crazy. But numbers are fine. No, numbers not in parameters, but in the name is fine.
Okay. All right. So definitely not parameters.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone have questions on the new tool builder before we get to Jason? He's got his hand up. 3 seconds of silence means no questions. What's up, Jason?
No, my question is very, I guess, quick here. What things are there going to be that we're going to need to prepare for our clients for the 2.1 so that things don't break in the middle? Like say with, I think payloads are probably not going to change, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing that I'm just kind of concerned about. And like, is there anything else that we should need to do on our end for that to make sure we're good?
No, a lot of the stuff is like for example, payloads on the post call webhook and tool calls, like there are new parameters, and so they may even be redundant, but there will be parameters like new ones that you can use, like more accurate ones that are shared by both voice, like contact ID is different in voice and chat. I think like technically there is one that's like the same, but it's like which one do you use? And so a lot of that'll be, even though the old stuff will still be there and redundant, we'll at least have the new stuff that you can reference. And so functionality wise, should theoretically be the same.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing you necessarily need to prepare for. It's like the visuals, it's a little bit different, instead of just like, like little bot things, it's more of like a go high level workflow style type builder, where you can, by the way, this is a big thing. Anything you've deleted as far as assistants over the past like 2 months, I've archived, and you'll be able to recover your archives after this update too on everything. But no, infrastructurally, everything's the same. Even knowledge, even though it's stuff that may be in there that's like failed or files that are queued will be in here under queued or archive, and you can just re-upload them and they'll be all good. I tried to be a bit mindful even in the last update of like, in the future, if there is an update, how do we recover some stuff? And so infrastructurally should bring up.
Yeah, nice. Very good to know. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So everything is backwards compatible. There should be no breaks that you expect.
Yep, I'm hoping. No, I mean like theoretically, like everything is different. Anything that happens is more of like a back-end processing thing. But like requests on voice and chat, the same. Tool calls will be the same, like the parameters and the payload and everything should be, if not the same, similar, and should have like all the same stuff that was there, just new stuff. And then a lot more deterministic in the output of some of that stuff too. So OpenAI was, put out a lot of stuff on tool calling, and so we're implementing a lot of that too.
Awesome. All right. One of the things for custom tools is right now everything has to be a post, and that hasn't changed, right?
No, I don't think we'll do Git and everything. It just may complicate it a bit more, maybe in the future. But I think just a post call, it can be wrapped in some sort of like third-party API service like Build, Ship, or Make.
Yeah.
So it should be fine.
And if anyone has a question on how to do that, because you have to make it a post. So if you're trying to get to an endpoint that requires a get, you have to take those body parameters and then reference them in the query or reference them in any other value you need. Go ahead.
I was going to say, can I ask a question on that part right there? With your document, Jordan, you put out, with say the screenshot, and it has pretty much the tool done. Is that post endpoint actually work? Is that an actual endpoint we can use?
On some of them, yes. Like some of the custom tools, like some of the endpoints you saw in there were like ones that are live,
Okay.
just like peripheral services. But if it says like, you know, old build ship one or something like that, it may not, because I moved a lot of stuff around.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's the struggle I
test.
had with building all this.
Yeah.
I was just curious because that would mean it's done and I could just make a custom tool and off to the races I go.
Johnny, you
Yeah.
can check really easily. Just take that URL and go into the browser, and if you see a 400, it means that or a 44, 400. I can't remember right now, but it means that the tool doesn't exist.
Okay.
If you see 404, that means that you're not signed in, which means that the tool probably exists.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
easy. That makes sense. Perfect, man. Thank you.
All right, and Jason, your hand's still up. Did you have another question?
So I do have another question, but that wasn't why I was up. I had forgotten to take it down.
Okay, sweet. What's up, Michael? Michael Brassel.
So we're going to be able to go back in history for the assistants. I've noticed that when we like go to pick an assistant for like the widget or in some of those areas, it already exists in there. Even the ones we've deleted will the ones we've deleted and that go into storage they kind of disappear from there. That list gets a little overwhelming.
Yeah. That'll change to just pull active ones. And then, because at least with this, like we've filtered, like everything is filtered, like even this stuff up here, like even internally, it's all filtered now. So like when picking something on, like the widget or something like that, it's searchable. And then also it's just active. And so it goes from like the traditional browser drop down thing, which is a bit overwhelming and like just names, where it'll be more of like a, you know, like the workspace type where it's like you'll see it and you can search it.
Okay. The other thing is kind of a two-part question about the same thing. So in the voice assistant, I guess they're all the same assistant. If you check to not leave a voicemail, has anybody else experiencing that it still does? I don't really care one way or another. It just, is there a way to actually shut that voicemail off because it doesn't seem to shut it off? And on the other end of that, let's say somebody's talking to an assistant and there's probably a tool outside for this. Let's say they want to leave a message. I mean, where can they leave a message? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So a couple things that voice is getting an upgrade with. Well, one, like the fallbacks was a big thing, but voicemail detection is beefed up and there's more settings around it. So right now it's like, you know, voicemail or not. But so we'll be billing to an agency wallet rather than like, you know, prepaid minutes and then run down your minutes, because right now there's like no parameters on that. So it'll be like a wallet system. So when a call is processed, it's just taking that by our base cost billed to the agency wallet. And then if you have rebilling enabled, we'll trigger a bill through your Stripe to the actual like client themselves. That's how that new billing infrastructure will work. But we'll have a couple parameters to kind of protect against call time and to protect against like campaigning and stuff like that. So voicemail is a big one. And so we have a hard cutoff on like voicemail. So if you turn it off, as soon as there's any indication of voicemail, it's just instantly off. And then for things like leaving notes or something like that, I may just add some more description around like the create note section, or maybe even tasking if they want to like leave a note internally or something like that, where it'll kind of encompass those use cases too. Oh, and a max call time. So some people get on there and they fuck with your stuff. And so you can just set a call time like end. When it hits that call time, the assistant will end the call.
Nice.
Yeah, and for those that saw, I forgot who said it, but somebody sent a video of somebody trying to break their bot or audio recording. I think Justin Lee even made it, copied, had his own version of it too. But if you really wanted to block your bot, you can just say, "Hey, unless this very specific phrase is uttered, do not get off track." And even still, Jordan, correct me if I'm wrong, but currently you're planning on 2.1, including voice logs, not just transcription, but logs of calls being made. So in that case, you don't even ever need to have that conversation with the bot. You just get rid of that option entirely and just troubleshoot through the logs.
Yep.
All right, perfect. I'm happy about that. We got Jason's back up on deck. What's up, Jason?
Yeah. So with the integration for 11 Labs, I'm just curious if that's on the roadmap for the future, or if there's a way that we're going to be able to have voices added.
Yeah.
I just hear a lot of like Portuguese and Spanish, and different options in that.
Yeah, there would definitely be options for it. I don't know if it'll be in this one specifically, just because it's easier to run it through like an enterprise type account where we can, one, get scaled pricing, and two, just kind of process everything in chunks. But either in the future, through like just requests of like, hey, I want this voice, we can just bring it in, or voice cloning, and then potentially just like replacing the keys for it and then taking on the cost.
Gotcha. Okay. And on that note, as far as voices go, so in version 1, I'm quite sure, like I did this where, I'd call in and maybe speak Spanish, and the voice would be able to change to Spanish. Like it was able to listen, understand me in a different language. I just found out the other day here now version 2, if I have it set to Spanish with, say, let's just say I have Santiago on there, which is a Spanish guy. But I actually, in this case, let's say I have it switched to English, but I have Santiago in there, so he speaks Spanish. But then if I speak Spanish, he doesn't understand me. So I have to switch it to Spanish so he understands Spanish. I was just curious if there's a way that we could have that where it would automatically switch again. That way, then, if there's a business that has different languages coming in, then it can still handle them.
Yep, there will be a multi-processor, and so it'll just kind of look for the language and just kind of generalize it like how a chatbot does.
Okay, cool. Yeah, awesome. Hey,
But
quick answers. How about that? Love it.
Yeah, that was quick. But best practices is still to have all the instructions, all the prompting in English, correct, for both the prompt itself and the tools.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
everything on orchestration layer. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Everything is built in the U.S. right now. I mean, there's like, I think Claude is not built in the U.S. and Grok maybe not, but like everything on an orchestration layer for voice and chat is built in the U.S. and so it's trained in English, and it's built in English, and so probably best to just prompt in English, even if it is a foreign. Something like that. Now, is it going to hurt it? I don't think so, but generally a best practice, I would think.
All right, cool deal. And next up, Jason, is your hand still up? Gotcha.
Oh, man.
I see you.
You just put it down for me, can you? No,
I can't. I'm
for the
not.
button here.
This is Jordan's
I
call.
found it. There we go.
And we got Ricky. What's up, Ricky?
Hi, man. Just a few things. So Jason already touched on voice cloning. So voice cloning, can it be enabled for non-US countries at least?
Yeah.
I know you've got it all built in the backend. It's just a matter of you connecting it. The other one is I've sent an email about a request, if you can look at that.
I did. I was going to tell you as soon as you hopped on. I saw your email, and I got you when we're done with this.
All right. And the last one is going to be, again, about the language switching. Jason, you can put it in prompt and it works.
Like define what language is supposed to respond in?
Yeah. So if you say you're expert in, you're fluent in, say, Spanish and English, and you can also speak Korean, and then it will do that.
That's cool.
That ends up being the LLM. There's so much, like it's always like, this business is so interesting with support, because I wish it was as deterministic as like traditional code, but we're really working with like machines that are making decisions on their own, and so you can only control it so much, and but you can control it, and like with like LLMs are really good at taking instruction, and so like even on something like voice switching, that's the LLM above all else, and so that's it understanding what's coming in and then outputting it. And so if you tell it just to adapt to the conversation and the language and make sure you change it around, it will. But the output on like in English voice, right, it'll be super accented, just because that's kind of how that works. But
I don't know, Justin. So I didn't knew this till this morning. I was looking at a post from Justin Lee, and he's done it in Assistable about how he has done it, and he did a Japanese version of an English voice, Noah. Obviously, OpenAI's voices will be well versed in all conversations, but
Yeah.
Noah spoke really fluent Japanese. Even I got one of my friends to hear it, and he goes, "Well, that's not accented. That's pure Japanese, and old version of Japanese."
Yeah, there's so many nuances with this stuff too, and that's like even something I've been thinking about on like documentation, because it's like there's so many variables that go into this. Like the orchestration layer, for example, like what each thing does is so different, and then there's different providers for each one. Like OpenAI is maybe not perfect when it comes to like voice output. It's good, but is it better than like an 11 Labs voice? No. But our OpenAI voice is like super like trained and just good at taking on anything. They're extremely adaptive, where 11 Labs may not be. DeepGram is kind of the same thing. DeepGram is extremely fast, but they're not as good. They're in fact a little robotic, but they're extremely fast. And so like for a traditional IVR, DeepGram is really good. For like a general like I want a workhorse, OpenAI is probably the best, but if I want the best output, then it's 11 Labs.
100%.
Yeah.
That's all I had. So.
Thank you.
So much.
Arigato gozaimasu. Go ahead, Jordan.
I'm trying to think what else besides like the knowledge. I think the only change on knowledge, by the way, is we'll have voice knowledge, but it'll be paid. And the reason is we have to self-host it. So like right here, we can utilize Pinecone, and we can utilize the fact that like a message we can reply in 6 seconds and it's still like regular. In voice, it's like 800 milliseconds is like a time frame, and anything above that is like not good. And so it's all self-hosted and it's streamed. It's extremely expensive. So I think what we'll do is have a conversion thing on voice on voice knowledge, where it's a paid service but rebillable to the end user as well on something like that, which I was very hesitant in that idea. But then after talking to a few people, it seems tangible, because it's just one more thing that you can like quote unquote make money on. And especially like you're doing something for like a solar company, they don't care. Like if you charge them, you rebill them $30 a month, they don't care as long as it does what it needs to do.
So as far as voice knowledge base, you're still recommending, if it's a small one, just putting it inside the prompt.
Probably. Yeah.
And then if it's if you're running a local knowledge base for voice, it might make more sense to use an external tool call to access a database if you're running multiple bots using the same knowledge base.
They'll be shareable, and so like a paid voice knowledge base is still shareable between all voice. And so if it's something like a niche or like a client where it's like just their business, or even like a franchise, like general knowledge can just be shared between all of them, and even probably multi-sublocation sharing. I don't know the idea behind that yet, but yeah, like if it's like super specific thing, like an important section in like the AI prompt, super good. Because it's just there. It's there for it to reach, where vector storing is more like context, and then like tool call is like pure data feeding. And so that little custom, I think it was like the knowledge base doc that I wrote the other day. Obviously I have to redo it for this, but I kind of differentiated where I would put each like specific piece of information. So if it's super important, like repeatable, like very, very important information, like we were only open on Mondays, put it in the prompt. It's just best practice. If it's like general knowledge, like pricing, FAQ, objection handling, like things that you would suggest. So like if you hired somebody and you're like, no, say this instead. That's where knowledge, and that's how knowledge works. And then if it's something like I need to go get complex data and I need to do complex like data handling, that is 100% a tool call. You're not going to have fun doing that in vector store, because it's just a relationship type. In fact, I'll show you how it works. So Perfect. If I ask about how much is it, this is a new test your knowledge base. And so it says, I'm not sure to that answer, but it has the answer, but it's only a 32% match. right? Because it's not specific enough. There's not a true suggestion to that answer. It needs more context. And so either refining a knowledge base for something like that, or putting it in the prompt. If somebody says exactly like, how much is this? Like ask them, like, for example, if I were doing this, I'd say voice or chat. Right. And that's how I would continue to train the AI. And then how much is voice? And you can kind of see this thing starting to think. But that's how knowledge works. And if I threw a complex data set in there, like, how much is quote, or can you quote me on XYZ? It's not going to know that because it's just feeding suggestions as context with matches. And so if you have like this Excel spreadsheet of complex quoting data, and you're like, you need to do calculations on that, the vector store is going to just output like XYZ. It's not going to give you a calculation or anything like that. It's mostly just suggestion. And so complex data sets would be like a tool call, where this would be more so suggested answers. Like, can I connect my number? That's more a knowledge thing.
So prompting would be more how to think. Then we got knowledge bases, which is regurgitation material, like say this when they ask this. And then a tool call would be, hey, you actually have to run a calculation.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. That's how all those things work together.
Okay. Yeah, you wrote that out pretty well in that knowledge base article. It's pretty clear. Was that all that you were going to show us on on knowledge bases?
Yeah, just kind of the idea behind them, and especially like, when this comes out, this can do anything. You can upload images to this, and we'll vector store it like to a meaningful perspective. Like I think I have an image in here, and there's like accurate information about the image. Like this was a screenshot, and it pulled information about the image. So like knowledge is super, super robust. But the thing is now that we allow you to do all that, it's being super careful about the information that goes in here, because it will be fed as context. And that's why I implemented this. I wasn't going to do this, but then like I figured, like, if someone does a couple site scrapes and like the websites don't have really good information or outdated information, you at least can kind of figure out where it's coming from, and then like, so like suggest it out.
How big is too big, Jordan? Like when it comes to like a YouTube video or something. Like I have some clients that do like hour-long webinars, and they're like, "Hey, can I just do my webinars, my knowledge base?" And I'm like,
yeah,
possibly, but was it better just to get the transcription of the webinar? Or?
Yeah, because I think it mostly goes by file size on processing. So like this is like the ones that I've been testing on like books, entire like textbooks and like actual books. The file size may be too big, but like there are different file sizes where if I converted this to like a TXT file, which is way less heavy than a PDF, then it would work. Or like I tried one of their YouTube videos, too large, but if I took the transcript and turned it into a TXT and uploaded it, it would probably go through because TXT is not as intensive. So I'll probably have a guide on some of that stuff where it traditionally doesn't happen. Like all these are even pretty large file sources, but like if it is too large, how you can kind of use that instead of, getting this, just turn it into a TXT.
When you give it a file, like a video file, like what is happening to that video file? Is it just turning it into transcripts anyway and then reading it that way? I mean, it's not like it's watching the video.
This is a really interesting system agnostically. So it uses a couple things of actual vision to look at what's happening. And we meta tag all of this too. So file type, the way that the file type is read, plus what it can see, all that is like brought into knowledge. So like say you have a PDF, say like the crash course on the calendars or any of those crash course where you have text, you have some images in there, you have some screenshots and everything like that. So tangibly what happens is the doc is broken down into text and images, and then the text is read, it's chunked, it's reordered for relevancy, and then it's key value paired. And then the images on there are looked at through like something like vision, where like the images are actually looked at. and then it says, well, what does this image, or what does this image say, or what is this image doing? And then that's taken, parsed, and then chunked and reordered and everything like that. So it kind of looks at it. But on something like a video, it's like mostly just pre-processed, transcribed, maybe some like keyframes and things like that. And all that's kind of pulled in for relevant context.
So for voice knowledge bases that you're planning on charging for, and for those who just joined, voice knowledge bases he's planning on hosting locally with the bot, so that way the response time is low enough to make it so that the bot can check the knowledge base, respond within a natural time frame. But in order to do that, he's going to have to charge to pay for storage locally with the bot, wherever the bot's being hosted. So my question there is, are you planning on charging by total volume or number of attached locations, like data stores, or what?
Probably by knowledge base.
By the size or individual count?
Just the individual. Just so it's not like I am always even hesitant to charge for like a lot of stuff, because I hate people who nickel and dime. And theoretically, would it probably be a better business decision to charge per data source rather than knowledge base? Probably. But I think we'll just do not a fixed price knowledge base, and then upload whatever you want in the knowledge.
And are you planning on having this running on 2.1 or 2.2?
2.1.
2.1. So in the next day or so. Wow.
Yeah. Yes. A couple things that'll happen is, like, with knowledge bases, you'll be able to convert them into a voice that can be shared across assistants. That I think we'll probably do $12-15 a month, and then you can rebuild to the clients at cost or more, whatever you want to do. And then concurrency is another big thing, and so we'll have pricing for additional concurrency. So if you have an enterprise deployment that requires 100, 200, 300 concurrency, I think we may do like $2 to $3 per additional concurrency. And so even on like 100 concurrency, which is like, really doesn't sound like a lot, but that's like call center volume is like 100 concurrency. That's like an actual, like a floor of a building with calls is 100 concurrency, and it's $300 to an enterprise user, and then rebuild.
Okay. And then well, I want to move on to the next question, but real quick, since we're on knowledge bases still, a few people are mentioning that they're unable to get scraping URLs to work. Do you want to speak on that for knowledge bases?
I don't know, let's test it out. Maybe I need to look at it. What I am going to do with this is the way that this will work will change. And so this will be, once you first do it, it'll go grab the sitemap, and then the sitemap will be brought back and say, of this sitemap, what do you want to use? So it won't just be landing page, or it won't be just specific page. It'll be all of that stuff. But let's take a look to make sure that it's pulling. Looks like it's pulling.
Well, I mean, is it possible the site didn't have a sitemap?
No, this one doesn't have the sitemap. This is technically the one that's still in prod. I haven't done the sitemap yet on this one.
So Lloyd mentioned that he hadn't been able to get the knowledge base from scraping URLs. Lloyd, was it loading and then you're trying to reference it via voice, or like what was the issue you were experiencing? And then Ralph mentioned, is sitemap indexing supported?
That's what, yeah, that'll be.
Just in the chat, I was using.
Okay.
Just chat, yeah. And I was able to load it. It just wouldn't. I couldn't get it to reference the information that I knew was on the website. You know, I'd ask it specifically, "Hey, do you do this service?" And it'd be like, "No, you need to talk to blah blah blah." You know.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get it to work.
It's knowledge is super interesting on the way that it works, and again, it's like more of a context thing. But I think the post processing of the data that we actually get, because this is like you're saying, well, sitemap scrape here, which this is good, but we probably just need to do key value pairs with some of this stuff, like time saves 3 hours. That's not super relevant, and so we'll probably do a lot of the parsing out of this. And there's like because it's kind of doing a semantic search of like almost like a question answer or like relevancy from question and answer. This stuff's okay, but it probably just needs to be post-processed like something like this, or to, a bit more organized in some of
And
this
is
stuff.
Are you showing 2.1?
Yeah.
Is there AI on the back end that's parsing this data then? Like, so when it pulls in the sitemap or when it pulls in the website, the AI is discerning what data it should be storing in the knowledge base?
Yeah, we do it by reordering. So it's vectors like, so
But I mean,
it's,
it would be kind of like me going to ChatGPT and typing in, hey, get all of the knowledge from this URL here and put it into a format that an AI would understand or whatever.
So not with something like scrape, like as in prod right now, but a lot of the stuff will be post processed. So it's kind of pulled. So the raw text is pulled, the raw text is embedded, chunked, reordered, embedded, and then stored. And then we'll probably do something like when it comes to site maps where like data is like not great, especially on like sites that aren't super informative. We at least can take some of this and like reorder it, or at least like regenerate it to something a bit more tangible, which I think is probably how we're doing, which I think is what you're asking. Because I think this could be well improved upon, because on something like a sitemap scrape, we're getting all this like, markdown and HTML, and it just crowds it up a little bit, especially if you use like, there's some website providers that are just straight HTML, and it's just so terrible for like scraping. That will probably do some sort of post processing. A good example is like, we have two endpoints. We have on like the custom tool stuff, we have one that pulls raw site data, and then we have one that pulls a summary. And you can tell us like a tangible difference in the information pulled, even in the tool call return, between those two things. And one is just pulling raw sitemap, and then the other like pulls raw sitemap and then reorders it.
All right. Everybody, Jordan said he wanted to make this call kind of short, and we're getting kind of a list of hands up. So I'm going to try and move through this kind of quick. Bilal, you're up next.
Hey, can we do a quick tutorial on how to pull data from GHL for inbound calls?
What kind of data?
Just like a custom field that says like last service done. So I ask, so say it's an inbound call and I already know that customer and he has a last service done. I want to be able to like reference that.
Okay. Sweet. Any more questions before we get into some builds?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a quick one. For the knowledge base, is it going to be something that you'd have to reference in your prompt, saying if when referencing knowledge base, make sure that there's at least a 68% match kind of thing? Is that something that you'll be able to do?
Braden mentioned this yesterday. We were talking about this. I have him in there playing around now too, of like the matching. So there's like a percentage of match on like tangible answers. And right now there's no parameter set because most people don't even understand that. And the last thing I want is support tickets like on complexity. If someone does like 20%, they're like, my knowledge isn't working. And it's like, wait, it's at 20%. But being able to kind of edit that probably will be a thing, because it is tangibly like a good thing to edit and a good thing to kind of like go through. But most of the stuff, like there's so much stuff that I want to do, but the complexities around it just cause it to almost be irrelevant for use. But we will probably have a parameter where you can say only above 90% give this answer. And when you have stuff in a vector store, the AI does see this in some prompts that I'll look at. It doesn't know that it's looking at a knowledge base. It doesn't understand that because it's not like a tool call where it like has it in its brain that it can do that. it's fed as a context section. So when it's generated, it's like prompt injected at the bottom. It's like some relevant answers for you or some relevant information to your answer as like a context section. But maybe I'll write some more verbiage around that for use case. But the best thing would be like reference your context for output.
Okay. Or maybe even just I don't know. If you go in the knowledge base, just make a slider. So if people want more
Yeah.
variable answers kind of thing, they can put a slider, put a little lower. If you want very deterministic answers, then you can just slide it up to like 90, 100%. Then it's only giving out things that are perfect matches.
For 2.2. We want 2.1.
Yeah. I want to. I want to be
done. And what was it? Aiden asked when we thinks it'd be out. No, sorry. Nobody asked that because we're not going to get Aiden booted. But Aiden, he said he had hoped for tomorrow morning. So that's not a guarantee. That's a chance. And then we got Dylan Knight up on the deck.
Sweet. Hey, quick question. I just didn't know if this would be something that would be resolved in the 2.1 push, Jordan. Prompting for the AI that's doing outbound voice to handle being on hold or being transferred, or like an IVR, press 1, press 2. Case in point, I'm having the AI call out to pharmacies right now, and then sometimes it'll just go on hold for 99 minutes. And then other times somebody will answer and then say, okay, great, I'm just going to transfer you to my manager. It'll be on hold for like 15 seconds. And then it'll say, oh, it looks like you're not responding, and then hangs up. So there's a lot of inconsistencies. I don't know if that could be something that I could resolve now in a prompt or wait till 2.1.
Technically, it's a back-end setting, but we expose it. And so you have a couple settings there. One is like an objective, like in the call after so many seconds, and then there's an objective in the call after so much silence. So those are two settings that are there that we just don't, again, like a lot of this stuff I don't expose because it just creates more support tickets than it helps. But we will expose that, and then IVR navigation will be in there as a tool call, as like a pre-built tool. You can throw it in there, and IVR nav will be, so if it comes across it, press 1 for XYZ this, and you can actually prompt it based on that, where, for example, if you know the IVR, you can tell it to navigate on behalf of you and say, when the call answers, press 1, then 2, and then 7, or you can just kind of let it do its own thing. But IVR nav, timeout for silence, and then general ending the call after so many, after so many minutes. If it gets put on hold and still, like for after 60 minutes, that's a lot of minutes. You could at least end it after like 15. Makes it a lot easier.
Okay, sweet. And that's awesome. So I think what I'm going to do is just tell the client just to wait till after the weekend. I would guess maybe Monday, Tuesday, do another push with 2.1. Is that safe to say?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll probably have some like documents, like you kind of have to have like a specific call setting sections for like these little nuanced things around calling. And so besides like the tooltip, besides this, I'll probably put in some sort of verbiage around like what everything does, like optimal uses on some stuff. And then maybe I even thought about this too, especially in the assistant builder. I made it like a lot simpler, but I may even have like a little widget in there that answers questions about some stuff. So what does this do? Or if I'm having this issue, how do I, what levers can I pull to fix this issue? So if I'm having issues with it saying this or it doing this, like what are my options? And it's like, change these things.
Well, you're generous to assume that people will read them, but awesome.
Yeah, that's the fun part of
it. Anyone have any more questions specifically on transfers?
I have one similar. You had mentioned that so for enterprise deployments, you'll be charging let's say $3 extra a call. Is that something that can be variable? So let's say we have a business that gets a very high volume on a Saturday, but on a Monday it's, regular, 15 calls at any given time, but then on a Saturday it could, get 100. Is that something that's going to be like a variable that it's just depending on how many calls that they're accepting at any given time? Because if they're paying for like 100 calls on a Monday and they're only using 15, it almost doesn't make sense, right? So is that something that's going to be able to be, just dynamically charged as, they increase their call volume depending on the day?
Probably not in the beginning, just to make things easy. And I don't want to overcomplicate it. So probably not here in the beginning. In the future, sure, because I can see a ton of use cases for that. Like even in a support metric of like support being crazy through the week, but not on the weekend, makes a ton of sense. But right now, it'll just probably be so much concurrency throughout the month, or like so much concurrency at any given time.
So maybe in the future you're thinking like spot or market pricing per call. Was not right now though. Keep it simple.
Yeah, just I'm trying to keep it simple and a lot of stuff like that.
Awesome.
I don't want to overcomplicate it. And then the rebilling infrastructure is the same thing, and it would just like we have a 3 tranche billing system at that point. It would be a headache to change all that, and our billing, your billing, and their billing.
So on the question of transfers, is there a way you're planning on having built out natively being able to handle call transfer failures? So like say somebody tries transferring to somebody, but they're not in office. And so it goes to voicemail. And so it could fail on the voicemail check and then return back and say, sorry, they're unavailable right now, but I can take a message for you.
Yeah, I don't know about like, it goes to voicemail, then they go back and it's like, let me leave a message for you. And then it goes and leaves a message like complex like that right now, but at least handling around the situations at least, because we have things for transfer on like hard transfer as it is today and warm transfer, which is calling both, tying them in together and introducing them. But we'll at least have some more parameters around those tools specifically for calling. Voice was like a big thing in this one.
Okay. Very cool. And then other transfer questions. Anybody else have any other transfer questions?
I have.
Go ahead, Claudia.
I've been waiting for quite a while for my questions, so maybe I could just quickly do that one.
Is it related to transfers, Paul?
No, but is that what the questions are? Or otherwise, I'll just leave. I'm not even using voice.
Oh, Paul, we're just trying to manage the entire meeting. It'd be hard if everyone just popcorned and changing topic every question. So that's why we're trying to check. Your next.
Is it the double messaging? Is it the double messaging?
Double messaging, bot stopping, and where do I find support? Just those 2 things.
Okay. Is it double messaging for everything that comes in, or double messaging when it gets a double message?
From what I'm seeing, it's double messaging when there's a double message, but the 2 messages it sends are not making sense.
I would increase the queuing time on that one to like 15 or 30 on there. I have a little bit more parameter handling on this one for like keeping it at 0, so super fast responses and still queuing properly. But like 15:30 like gives the request, so like that's a front half queue, and so we like pause the request to actually be generated before, like, so the request is created and then we wait 15 seconds and then generate it, and that should help. So we'll hold the request.
Yeah, I think it's on 15 now, but I'll increase it a bit.
Yeah, like 30-ish.
Yeah, okay. What about it just stopping out of it just completely stops?
I think most of the use cases I've seen on this one is like an interrupted tool call. But I'll take a look when we're off here for you and see like what exactly the logs say. But like 99.9% of the use cases I see right now, which is something I've mitigated in this one, is an interrupted tool call of some sort.
Okay. And do we have support kind of sorted out where we have a portal to ask for support?
I'm working on it right now. Yeah, we have like the one to kind of go to them and submit things, but on this one, I actually even built an admin portal so that we can manage the entire process in-house and then get back to you, not only through traditional like contact stuff, but you can see the updates in the portal and we can link everything.
Okay, cool. That's all I had. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Jordan, how would you like us to move forward? Would you like to talk with Claudia about her transfer question, or carry through on the queue?
Either one works.
All right, Claudia. Since the last thing we talked about was transfers, you want to speak on that?
Yes. So Jordan, I sent emails yesterday. I have a client who is waiting for this feature to work called transfer. I have 6 outbound assistants that they're going to be working on different dentist locations. None of them are transferring calls right now. Those are assistable purchased phone numbers. I tried with 2 million numbers. The SIP trunking didn't work, so I just purchased 6 numbers. They're not transferring the calls. So I emailed your support, but nobody is replying to me. I give you access to this Go High Level account as well for you to go in there. I send you video on where the custom link menu is, so you can just go ahead and check it out. It used to work 2 days ago. It stopped.
Okay. Have you tried it today?
Well, they want to start the, I'm being pressured from the company. They want to start running Facebook ads, and they were relying on this strategy that I told them all about Assistable, how they have these assistants that they're able to transfer the calls. But now I have to just tell them, I'm sorry, but it's not working. So now whatever I just set up for them, I don't know. I just, I need to have this result ASAP. They want to start like tonight. I have everything set up, for my campaigns and everything else. And I also have the special workflow if that fails, that assistant. So it then notifies the dental office locations to call them back. I have that like a safety measure set up already. In Go High Level, you can check it out. Wellness Dental is the, I give you access to it yesterday.
Okay. Try it again today. Yeah, try it again today.
Well, what would the problem be? Is it on your end? Something is disconnected? Because since, who was it? We were just talking that had problem with this as well. Why is it that this is happening? If you could let me know, like, is this the system that you have that is sometimes work and sometimes it doesn't work? See, what I don't want to happen is once the leads start coming in, I don't want this to be not working like at any time, and I don't want to be babysitting it.
Yeah, me either. Of the orchestration layer, we're actually the most reliable, but the companies with billions and billions and billions of funding don't care. They don't. If it goes down, like 11 Labs going down, they don't care. They have their funding. They literally don't care. They didn't care yesterday. They're not going to care tomorrow. So traditionally on like an orchestration layer, we're the only one that kind of holds it together. But on something like an 11 Labs outage or like an LLM outage where things like tool calling or like perhaps the streaming of the TTS or something like that goes to the LLM and it doesn't call the function perfectly with the right context and parameters, potentially. But
Jordan, sorry, I'm not blaming you. I had no idea that this tool transfer is connected to LLM and you're really depending on them to be working for Assistable to be working. I had no idea that this is the way it's set up. If that is down, that's not your problem, right? Like, because it's the ChatGPT problem or OpenAI or whatever you're connecting to.
Yeah, pretty much all AI functionality across the board is handled by tool calling. Like even in the like enterprise deployments of like doing specific things, whether it's done like in a pre or post processing or like live, it's usually a tool call. But I have some injection for some of that stuff now, where at least like the parameters are hard set. And even what was nice is OpenAI now has like a strict argument section. So like example is sometimes when somebody puts in a parameter of a custom tool call, unrelated but related, they put like contact name, or it's like contact capital N name. The argument that may be spit out, because the argument section of a tool call is actually completely AI generated, they, just knowing JSON formatting, may put in contact underscore name, which your parameter mapping may not be perfect on that because you're looking for contact capital N name. but there's like a hard set like toggle now to say you put out what I give you. So and then I'll have some prompt injecting for a ton of stuff like that. Some safety parameters for the rest of the orchestration layer, at least from our perspective, and then some catch-alls.
All right, and it sounds like Jason Dueck is going to be helping you troubleshoot that too, Claudia. Also, for everyone on the call,
Appreciate you, Jason.
yeah, for everyone on the call, I don't know if this is still happening, but the Asteria voice inside of 11 Labs. So if you go to Voices and check Asteria, even though everything else was down, that was still working. Thank you, Deb Pet, for mentioning that. I don't know if that's still the case, but if for some reason your bot isn't answering and voice is not working yet, Jordan is working on updating it so that is resolved. And if you want to beat him to it, just change it to Asteria temporarily until he gets yours. Let's see what else. All right, next up. Sorry about the wait. We got Dylan again.
I think Dylan didn't put his hand down from last time.
Maybe you're right. All right, you're up, Ricky.
All right, I'm good. Yeah, thanks. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, of course.
All right, just another question on rebilling, Jordan. So you mentioned agency to their sub accounts within the Go High level. What's going to happen to reseller workspaces? How is that going to work? Or everything will be billed to me, and then
No, that'll change. So they'll have a wallet for like variable costs for things like calling numbers and things like that, or it'll be billed to them, so you don't have to worry about it. And like right now, the infrastructure set of like the decision behind that was a resold client technically doesn't have a card on file, and they would have to see us to be able to put a card on file. But through just a wallet type infrastructure, we can at least take their card info, load a balance, and then charge against the balance. So any variable costs associated with reseller accounts will be handled in their own wallet, phone numbers, voice knowledge bases, voice minutes, anything associated with that. And then for reselling for price flooring, why there's a halt on it right now, because there are some people who are hurting the rest of us, and that will have price flooring through some sort of like rebuild straight plan. And so each workspace will have an intrinsic value, even at a resold like discounted cost. I think we've talked about this, and then you just sell above that.
Y'all can hear me. Yeah. So I forgot what I was going to say. I'm very sorry.
You were going to go back to.
No, I was actually going to speak on what you were talking about, Ricky, about pricing. Oh, yeah. I don't expect this right now, but considering we're making a wallet system, does that mean will be a credit system as well?
It'll be like Go High, like it almost perfectly mirrors Go High level system. We were going to do a Facebook type system where it's like credit pay down.
So we can do like a recurring monthly credit of 200 minutes.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's sweet.
Yeah. So we're like mirroring their billing infrastructure. So it's like you as the agency technically will get the bill for everything because it's your clients, but through the same way of connecting your own Stripe and your own plans and your own pricing and everything like that, when theoretically an event is triggered, right, for a wallet refill on your end or like a call, right? So you'll get at cost 7 cents a minute, right?
Yeah.
So if you have $25 in your wallet, you have a call that's 1 minute, you get billed to 7 cents. But if you bill them 15, then their wallet gets charged for 15. And so it's kind of a dual wallet pay down system. And so with autofilling. And so they'll technically fill up a wallet with your Stripe. So they'll pay you, which fills up their wallet. You pay us to fill up your wallet. You get things at cost. They get things at their markup.
Easy peasy. All right.
Nice one.
Thank you. Thank you, Ricky, for asking that one. Johnny?
Yeah, so mine's on this topic here is I'm running into the problem right now. So this whole reseller thing, get it. makes complete sense. I'm a fan of it. Me and Jordan have had that talk. We're good there. But I'm having issues right now under a specific account that I have a reseller on, which is, Jordan knows who it is, Clay. I have 6 clients under him, and one of the clients, it keeps shutting off, like the connected to go high level. Like I just reset everything. I just went through the portal, went through everything, and it will not turn back on again. I keep logging out of it. I keep resetting to go high level. All of them reconnect. All of them do great. This specific one will not reconnect, and I don't know how to fix it. It's like driving me crazy right now.
Did they change to the 97 plan?
No, so what he did is he moved everybody everybody into his agency because he has it set up now. So everybody's moved in. They just moved in today. It be actually no, that they were connected yesterday. I added another one today that was moved into his SAS account, his agency, and that one connected just fine. But this one, when I connected, all of them connected, but the Stillwater one will not reconnect. It was connected yesterday. I just had to reset everything because this Bedrock one wasn't connecting.
Wait, now, all of them account or agency?
It's agency accounts on a reseller. So, I have a reseller account for Clay, right? Clay is the client. That's the reseller. He has his own agency. It's a SAS, and under him, I have 5 clients that are his, right?
Sub accounts,
excuse me. So out of the sub accounts, all of them were connected. While we're on this call, he added one today. So I, clicked through the menu link, added them. It wouldn't connect. So then I just did a reconnection, go high level as a whole. It reset everything. That one connected. All the other ones connected, but this other one that was connected before I did that is now not reconnecting. So I keep resetting it, and I keep like logging out of it and out of the portal, going into the portal, because that's usually how it connects, is you go through the sublink and the agency under that specific account, and it connects usually. So I'm talking about the status connection that you see that's on where you see the accounts at, where you can add the messages, all that, all that stuff. All of them have the check mark connected except for this one. I can't get it to check mark yet.
So sub account.
Yeah, the specific sub account. So like, is there a way to troubleshoot this? Because I keep like reconnecting the account. I could go in the portal and everything's there.
Was this one that we had to transfer over to this agency?
Stillwater. Yeah, you know what? It probably was that one.
Send me that one. I need to, because if we had to manually transfer it, I think I need to tie the ownership of it, because what it's looking for in that update for OAuth is it's looking for its owner. And if it's tied to the wrong,
you're right. That is the one, actually.
Yeah, if it's looking for its old agency, which was theoretically its owner.
Okay.
And it tries to reconnect, then it's like, oh, that agency doesn't own me anymore, or I'm not owned by that agency anymore.
Sorry about that, Jordan. I didn't even realize the two said that was the one. Yeah, that is the one that you had to move over, because now he's not doing it that way. He's making sure that they move him over to his agency before we connect them. But that was the one that I tried to do on the 97 plan and then didn't work. So then I had to move it over to his agency, and then it worked. It connected, but for some reason today it disconnected itself and I can't get it reconnected.
Which, by the way, we can connect to the 97 plan.
Yeah, I saw that post.
Yeah,
but I'd rather just tell them, not to go back and forth. I'd rather just tell them, just move it over. It's just easier for me, to be quite frank with you, because then I don't have to worry about this. So what's the fix on this then?
Text me the location ID and then text me the agency name, and I'll make sure that the relationship, it's a two-way relationship, so ownership and then a child-parent relationship. So each one kind of stores each other. I need to make sure that they're tied.
So synopsis is orphaned locations need to be resolved by Assistable.
Yes. Now, in this update, there is technically a thing for this. I'm telling you, I'm trying to think of everything that I can so everyone could be self-sufficient, and like all this stuff is just auto done. There's like a thing for this now. There's even a transfer account and transfer workspace and things like that can all be done by ownership. But for right now, I just have to make sure that relationship is tied.
All right, I'll do that right now. Thanks a lot, man. Sorry to bug you guys about that. It's driving me crazy.
No, that was a unique question that we've not run into before. I personally appreciate that, a novel question. We got Mitch Carter, and then the only thing left was Bilal's question on injecting injecting information, custom values into inbound calls. Yeah.
Alex actually just mentioned he can show me, so you guys can continue, and then I'll just meet with Alex to figure that out.
Okay, and then please go ahead and share it in the group because other people will have that question as well.
So I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Bilal. Thank you, Alex.
No problem.
Mitch, your turn.
Yeah. So my question's it's regarding prompting. So I'm trying to create a manufactured pause between steps, basically. So outbound caller says it's confirming a name, so it would be like, just to kind of give you the system, it would be, hey Jordan, or Jordan question mark, confirmation of name, hey Jordan, pause. This is XYZ with XYZ company. This is why we're calling. So that first sentence of Jordan, pause, hey Jordan, pause, introduction is what I'm trying to manufacture inside of the prompt. And I'm not sure. I'm close, but I'm not like really close. It's I got the confirmation of name portion. It's saying, hey, name, and then it's like a brief, like millisecond pause, and it's going right into the introductory. So I'm trying to create that pause in there, and I'm not sure how to do it.
Yeah, so it'll be a dash, like space dash space, and so this is like text to speech, like nuance, and so this is voice, right? Just making sure.
Okay. Yeah.
So nuance around that is like, so of the things that are kind of happening here, you know, the LLM output, which is like OpenAI generating a message, and then that message is sent or streamed to a voice provider to say what's being said. And there are some nuance around that you can kind of customize for output. And one of those is pauses. The other is like pronunciation. The other is, punctuation actually will, change output tone and things like that too. So questions, I'm going on a tangent here. I'll get back to that. I had one the other day. It was an enterprise deployment for a really, really big solar company. And we were just kind of hitting all the bells and whistles. And one thing was like, it was super good, but there was this one part where it couldn't get the tonality right, did not sound human. But by us like giving it the like script along with correct punctuation, indistinguishable by just understanding the text to speech aspect of it. And so this one is like that too. And so on something like this, if I was saying, we could say confirm the user's name using the following script. Hey, contact dash, and you can use 2 dashes for a really long pause. So what was the script you had in there again?
Let me pull it up real quick. So the cold call script, like, so if I'm actually calling, it's like some cold calling you would be, hey Jordan, and then you would confirm your name, and then I would say, hey Jordan, this is Mitch with XYZ company, XYZ solution. So it's Jordan, pause, hey Jordan, pause, this is Mitch with XYZ company.
So I do this a lot too in all of mine. All of my prompts are set like this. But if you wanted to follow a specific script, it's always good to actually like just put in there the way that a human would say it. So if you have a script kind of thing, I shared this prompt perfect. You can try that too. But when you're giving it the script, you say, hey, I want you to write this the way that a human would say it. So it'd be like 1, hey Jordan, wait for user to confirm. 2, hey Jordan, I'm calling about this. 3, you know what I mean? So if you do it like that, where it's like you're giving it, the first task is to greet the user name, hey Jordan, then put in there, wait for user's confirmation. Then you can go to 2. right? So then it gives it more of like, okay, I'm understanding how you actually want the dynamic of the script to go.
Okay, that makes sense.
And props to Alex. His prompt that he shared, I modified it to fit one of my clients, and they are very happy with how friendly it is.
Where would I find that prompt at, Alex? Is it in the school?
Yeah, I shared it in the school group, so you can check it out.
Okay.
And thank you, Jakin.
Yeah, no, thank you. And then I'm posting a few of my questions as well. I'm going to see if anyone else has their hands up. No one else has their hands up. So, Jordan, when you're free, let me know and I'll ask my few questions. Oh.
Yeah, I'm just dropping some stuff here in the chat for.
I see you, growth partner.
So there's some stuff. So there's pause can either be a space dash space. Pause can also be 3 periods, just kind of indicating to the text to speech on like there's a pause here. And it can also be indicated by like pause, bracket, pause, bracket. And then for output on tonality. So if you kind of want to get the tonality right of this thing and you want to refine that a little bit more, it comes down to punctuation. And so exclamation points are going to be excited. Periods are going to be your traditional like monotone just output, and then question marks on the back half of that are going to sound inquisitive. So higher tone at the end, where monotone or traditional language is lower at the end.
And
or explanation will be excited at the end.
Do y'all remember how Jordan mentioned the need for adjectives when building out either custom tool calls or anything inside the prompt, where the more you can define the action, the more it recognizes the importance of the action and how you want the action done. The same thing works when you're going through the identity. If you just say, hey, you're from this one area and everything else, you'll notice that it actually gives slightly better output that sounds a bit more human because there's now more of a character behind it. In fact, I have one of my clients, I'm based in Texas, but one of my clients is based in Texas. So I gave my prompt that you speak with a slight Southern drawl and you use appropriate colloquial terms. But then I also made sure not to mention you do not use, you avoid using any terms of endearment because the bot very quickly went to darling. And some people consider that rude. So just make sure you test bots out after that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's I. So the same thing you saw for the like testing the knowledge base. There's like a testing your actual AI, like output and everything. So it's like live output. So the old one it was just traditional output. This one is live output, and you can see a tangible difference just with one adjective or one word change. Like it's on 90% of the build outs that I'm a part of, where if it's like we're trying to do something and they're like there, I'm just like, just change this one adjective. And it just, the whole thing is just exactly what they needed.
Going off of what Mitch had asked there, Jordan. So this won't work though for a tool call, right? You can't just put that in there. So like I have one kind of like Bilal wants where it's like, hey, go get previous call information for inbound calls. But I still haven't figured it out. You said you were going to expose it, but I mean, I've just been waiting for 2.1 because I figured you would. But for it to just, instead of saying hey, 1 sec while I go check previous notes or something like that, like, is there any way of just putting a pause there instead? Because I tried, there's going to be a silent period for the next 10 seconds while you go grab the tool call, like, tried everything, but it won't actually do that. It just has its mind of its own.
Yeah, I'll expose the prompt for that. So you'll be able to like put in a prompt for output during tool calls. So that way, whatever the use case is, whether it's like you want it to talk during a tool call, you want it to make a silent tool call, you want it to say something specific as it does it, make it just seem a little bit more human. You'll at least be able to do that.
It'd be good for appointments too, because then you could be like, instead of it saying, hey, 1 second while I check our available slots, or whatever it says, you can just be like, okay, avoid saying that and just offer the client 3 dates.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
All right, we got growth partner. I'll postpone my questions till after growth partner, whoever that is. I don't know who's connected to growth.
Yeah, sorry, it's Jace Nelson. I joined the group about a week ago. Just to start off here, Jordan, is it Jakin?
Yeah.
Appreciate all the value here, man. I mean, this is great stuff. I had some questions revolving around errors when the bot calls out. If it just says status of error, is that related to the likely spam? I need to do some kind of like phone registration. We were playing around with it, doing some outbound calling to an existing lead list today, and most of the results came in as errors. So would love some information on that. We don't have a DUNS number. I just got that. If I'm on the right taking the right steps to rectify that, just say so. I just wanted to kind of clarify some things there.
No, you're good. And it's like I noticed this probably a couple weeks ago where there are classifications of disposition, and error doesn't necessarily mean there was an error. Like error could be not an ideal outcome, right? So not an ideal outcome can be voicemail reached, which gets classified as an error. Or, you know, the person's voicemail is full and the call didn't connect, so they didn't answer. And then when it went to voicemail, this person's voicemail is full. That classifies as an error technically. And so I didn't really realize it until people were starting to do like mass campaigning and things like that, where they're like, I'm erroring out. And I'm like, the calls went through. But on this one, instead of showing the category, I actually show the like what actually happened. And so that'll get exposed because it can be something to the effect of didn't answer, call dial out, but not connected, some stuff like that. I'll expose that, and then your contacts will be tagged with it so that you can trigger workflows based off of it, or just see disposition that way. The call center tab is going to be very, very helpful for this, where we'll have like, so what we'll do is we'll classify your calls by workflow ID. So calls made between specific workflows will be categorized together, and you can kind of see tangible output on a ton of those, and we'll even filter them by disposition, which is user answered, call made but not detected, which could be spam.
That's gonna make our lives a lot. Like, wait, is this 2.1, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And just in case you joined a little late, he said he's hoping for tomorrow morning being the release date, but it's not a guarantee. We're not holding his feet to the fire. He just wants to make sure it's out right.
Yeah.
And Chase, on these error
great.
calls, did you run back and check to see if they were actually landing and the call was successful?
Yeah. So I'm looking at them right now, and some of them say ended. The ones that say ended end up hitting the voicemail, which voicemail is not auto being detected. It's probably just something wrong with my prompt. But the ones that say errors just say no transcript available. I'm not sure if there's a log file that I need to go look at, but I don't know where it is yet, just because I'm a noob in the community. Just trying
Log
to learn.
files for voice don't exist in 2.0, but they will in 2.1.
Okay, cool. Okay, perfect.
And
there's one thing on that is, are you using LC phone or using Twilio?
So I just purchased the phone number through Assistable and connected it there. So I'm guessing, is that Twilio's phone
If the
number
numbers come up suspected spam, you're going to have that error. So a lot of phones, like now with iPhone, with Android, will automatically just block the call if it comes up suspected spam. So if you're having that issue, I don't get the issue too much because of how my system's set up, but that's a lot of people's issue. Is just that if your phone number comes up suspected spam, Apple and Google now have systems within their own operating system or whatever that detects that and then just throws it right to the trash and won't even ring.
And on that note,
and then
if you check,
is Haya the only way to rectify that? Is that what everyone else uses?
Would you say?
Is Haya the only this tool I found online, and someone actually made a comment about it. I'll throw it in the chat here, but it's like a way to register a business number so it doesn't come up as spam. Has anyone used that before? Is there another way to rectify the most likely spam?
I can't speak to a recent use of it. I did have a client that used it a couple of years ago, and it worked well for them.
Okay.
But it also depends. Like my business base is mostly inbound calls, or somebody's already subscribed to it.
I have a solution for that. I don't know, Jordan, I shared it with you. I don't know if you want to share it with everyone right away, but
I'll let you do it, brother.
All right. So, what I would recommend is go on Twilio. Okay, you connect your Twilio, verify a number that's a call, right? So I have Ring Central for my business. That's an actual number that it's from a phone provider, so they have connections with all the big people in the phone systems. When you call from that number, it's verified, it's registered, so it will never come up as suspected spam, much like your cell phone number. So if you go into your Twilio account, and then what you're going to want to do is create the SIP trunk. Rather than putting the number when you're importing it into Assistable, the SIP number, you just type in there your verified caller ID number with the same SIP trunk, even though it's not listed. And then now you can actually call from any number that you want. It doesn't have to be a Twilio number. You can call from your cell phone number if you want. That mitigates the issue of having any kind of suspected spam, because now it's coming from an actual phone provider that's been verified to avoid those issues.
I confirmed this because I called his assistant and he picked up and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And he's like, "Oh, it routed me on inbound."
Okay, can we get a video on that?
Yes,
Alex,
a video
yeah,
would be
Alex,
awesome.
huge value there, my man. That is great. I feel like that's really scalable too, especially if you get a lot of phone numbers and clients and that trunking. I think Jordan, you made a SIP trunking video. I just didn't know that that's what I needed to do to solve this problem. So you guys are awesome.
Yeah, I don't.
man.
Yeah.
This is an exact copy of what GHL does with LC phone, which is you can set a verified phone number for inbound outbound calling for that number. So Alex was really smart copying that over to his Assistable setup.
Yeah.
The only issue that you will have with it is that when they call in, you have to forward the number to a different. So how I have it set it up is that I'll have a clone bot almost, so an outbound caller and then a clone bot for an inbound caller. So you can call out from your number, but when they call back into that number, you have to have it forwarded to an actual Twilio number, which is a clone bot. So then it picks up and it's able to be the same thing, but you kind of have two bots. It's like a two-faced bot almost with two different numbers working.
I pasted in the chat dial_failed. So if you have a workflow that checks the post call webhook, you can see what the response code is, and if it's dial_failed, that's where it might be might have failed because the number doesn't exist, or the agent is getting blocked. That number is getting blocked by one of the providers.
Yeah, I have a lot more on stuff like this, like actually what each one means. But I mean, there's so many variables when it comes to some of this stuff. Like you can call somebody's number and they could be spam, or you could be spam. Somebody could be spam, and it just doesn't do it. And then Twilio is so nuanced. Like I spent that SIP trunking video has saved support hours because things like telephony providers, they're just so nuanced, especially in the UK. I don't know if anybody here is in the UK or has UK numbers. I have one, not related to AI, but I have one, and they're super nuanced. But I'll have a lot more analytics to kind of show and then parse through in the call center tab. And then I don't know if I'm going to get this done in time. I still have to test it, but I think we'll just do a custom conversation provider where we can put your calls in the actual like conversation and go high level, but I have to test it some more. We'll see.
What video was it that you actually did that on? It was one of the master classes, I think, where you did external logs just for others to reference.
Yeah, I'll probably make a video about it and or kind of make some documentation around it for things like, because chat logs are super informative. Like one, I'm in school right now triaging is a tool called name error, which causes no generation. AI, like OpenAI is like, I'm not going to do that. And so those are very valuable on how to read those and what each one means. And then the same thing with calling is why you're getting what you're getting, how to get around it, and how to also set up workflows to, to help out with some things like that.
All right. So let's see. Up next, we got some questions from yours truly. Voice bearer token being passed. Is that happening 2-1?
Yeah, the access token specifically, right?
The bearer token. The bearer token.
Let me write that down. I can pass that because
Awesome.
during a tool call, it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, because right now there's a lot of stuff, especially when you're calling back in to Assistable. If it requires a bearer token, it's basically blocked for any voice right now. Without a huge workaround. Yeah. I'm gonna wait till you write that down because that's a big deal.
Yeah,
Jake, and also going off something you said earlier about transfers, one thing that I did to kind of mitigate what you said with like if someone doesn't pick up, I just put in my prompt that prior to transferring the call, advise the user that if Alex doesn't pick up the phone, that I will I'll inform him that you called and pass along the notes. So you can just kind of like have it say that prior to even doing the transfer so that the person knows, oh, okay, like preemptively, and then do the transfer because then it's like, oh, okay, no worries. Like Alex is going to get the message regardless.
Yeah. Yeah. And that way, if they get to a voicemail, they're like, oh, they're already informed. All right,
Yep.
cool. Next question was for voice training. I know you've done a little bit already about the pausing and everything else like that, but you had mentioned before about turning off markdown and translation for voice. Is that planned for 2.1?
Yeah, at least like exposing more stuff around like customization of it, and then like definitely for stuff like that, documentation over it because it's super nuanced,
Yeah.
but it can be powerful. So like, for example, if you normalize the speech, like the output's really, really good. It's English only.
Yeah.
Which and so like some people who have that on and are doing other languages, it'll be perfect Spanish. And then when it says a number, it's like 42. And it just sticks out like a sore thumb. But that's just normalizing the speech to
my name, for example. I could tell my name a million times and it never once gets it right. The best it's ever gotten was Jayakan.
Yeah.
So
The
Jake,
thing
and you
with
can always put in there the Jordan, what's it called?
Phonetic.
The phonetic of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the problem is I put in the phonetic spelling and so it can read that back pretty decently, but then when I say my name, remember it's not just speaking directly to the prompt, it's speaking and then getting transferred into text and then that's being translated and then being tested against the prompt. So it's not checking to see if what I say matches something similarly in the prompt first. So if it says, if I write Jaken phonetically and I say my name is Jaken, it'll say, hi, Jason. Hi, Jacob. Hi, Jake. It doesn't check to see relevance. So
how about just always spelling it bacon with a J?
Bacon with a J. I could, well, phonetically that works, but
well, that's what I did.
It,
like we used to have to do that for AI. Like we would type, we would just say, like EHA and like I, right?
Yeah.
And
I
know it's not like, especially for chat, then that can mess it up.
Yeah.
This is
a phonetic library is going to be in there because they're like even some business names, especially if they're like, those quirky misspelled business names, it sucks. And then like, that's terrible branding if your AI can't even say your name.
Like there was medical spa that I had and it'd say, oh, our website is medicalspapp.com.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that's gonna
addresses are like that too.
Yeah, phonetic parsing is going to be a big thing because like right now, like everything in 2.1 is just like the result of like not only just like I'm tired of touching this thing, but also like for the deployments of like the customization of it, and then like the different things that are happening, at least some customization around it, because it's not all going to be one size fits all. In fact, there's two identical use cases that make a ton of sense, or else I would be on the beach right now. But for stuff like that, like a phonetics library makes a ton of sense, especially when it's something like, we have the find and replace, which sits on chat. And it would kind of be something like that, but instead of like finding and replacing, it's just replacing phonetics to go to the TPS to pronounce correctly.
One really big request, can you put multi-language V2 11 labs into the update? Is that possible?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that would be amazing because like here in where I live, it's like 50-50 French English. We have the border of Quebec right there. So some people are French, some people are English. So opposed to having, the bot, two bots kind of thing for one thing, if we can have that, that would be amazing. Also for Spanish speakers, I'm sure in the States you guys have a lot of that. You'll have places where it's half Spanish.
Yeah, you'll be able to. Yeah, like I said, I've always super weary about like adding more optionality because more optionality causes more concern for messing up, right? Like if you're doing English and you do like a multilingual, it's not going to like change it, but like it'll be a little bit different than expected output. But we'll expose that so you can change it from turbo, V2, 2.5, and then multilingual.
Nice. That's amazing.
Right.
Is that going to be available in the 2.1 release?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's like whole tabs now for call settings, voice settings, chat settings, and then autopilot settings and tools. You know, the menu
You
behind
see it?
tools. No, I can't show you that yet.
As far
Let me get him
as
started. What about the chat? Just kidding.
as far as
There may
custom
be
tools being deleted,
stuff that doesn't come out. I don't want to get you too excited for some stuff.
Custom tools being deleted if there are no parameters set, is that going to be resolved in 2.1?
Yep.
All right. And then needing a pre-built tool assigned for a custom tool to work, is that going to be resolved for 2.1?
Yeah, everything's server side now. So the reason that happened is we have to separate them because the easy builder is easy, but then we have to turn all that into proper code, and each one has different styles. And what was happening is it's the comma between the different styles. So if there's one, it technically throws a comma on the front half of it because theoretically it should work, but that's why like doing something like a transfer, we'll do a bad request if there's not another tool associated with it. But what we'll just do is package it and then do it on the back end. And it will take a second, for it to update instead of just instantly. It'll take like 30 seconds, but it'll be bulletproof. This update is me putting Kevlar armor on this thing.
I like it. Speaking my language. And then we got one of my last questions at the moment. Summaries not being added consistently. That seems like the built-in post-call webhook that I believe is hidden so that it automatically updates inside of GHL. Are you seeing that not working for many people? And do you know why that might be happening? And will that be resolved in 2.1?
Not specifically for anything that I can point out besides one thing right now is we're outgrowing any platform that we're on or using within like a substantial, meaningful way, an expensive way. And so kind of part of this is like a two-parter, right? So you'll get all of the stuff that you're getting and great. But after that, there's going to be kind of a back-end update as well. So a back-end,
on a webinar.
You won't be able to see it. You won't.
Hey, Trevor, you're
know,
off mute.
You won't know what's happening or anything like that. But what we're going to do is parse requests to only users that are active and users that are actively using everything. And so, like right now, the amount of traffic is ridiculous. Like the owner of BuildShip messaged me the other day, and he's like, I have to talk to you. And I was like, okay, about what? He's like, you just need to get on a call with me. And we got on a call and he's like, what do you do? And I was like, we just do some AI stuff. And he's like, did you know you're the number one user by almost 20x from volume? And I was like, no clue. But all that to say is like the amount of requests we get are stupid right now, like 70 million plus a month. And a lot of that can be parsed out because it's stuff from high level, it's stuff from TTS. And what it's doing sometimes, and you'll notice it, is it'll rate limit. And like a call thing won't disposition or something won't catch because we're rate limited. We can't accept it that within that minute time frame or whatever. So right after this update goes out, it'd be nice to go sit on the beach and go drink margaritas, but we got a second thing we need to do, and that's parse requests. But that should be done before Monday, I hope. That's the idea of it anyways.
That's pretty cool. And let's see, we got who's recording this call. Also, Claudia Whitestone, she got her issue resolved by following the standard resolution that Jason mentioned, Jason Dweck, which was you have to attach a pre-built currently for 2.1 if you're going to attach any other custom tool or transfers. So that's why Claudia's transfers weren't working. She went through, added a pre-built tool that wasn't even going to be used on the call, just so that custom tools would be called. And that allowed that transfer to go through, and now it's working. Let me know if I said anything wrong in that. And then after that, I saw Harry's hand up. It's still up. Yep. Pull up, Harry.
Is it the timeout on execution of custom tool call?
No, as far as I believe, as far as I've tested, if you build a custom tool and you don't have any pre-built tool set, it doesn't allow for that tool call. You have to have a pre-built tool associated with that bot for custom tools to be called.
I meant for Harry. I think Harry's doing a complex data thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, maybe timeout. Yeah, no, I fixed that. That's server side now, so I don't have to worry about that. But makes it fun. And also that's why I built that like it autocorrect everything. So it's like we have autocorrect on everything now because I just saw something in school where somebody I don't know if they did a parameter name or tool name that doesn't follow like OpenAI's cadence, which I'll have a thing for that too. But it can like pause the whole request because OpenAI is like, I'm not generating that. I don't know what that is. That doesn't look right to me. And so we have autocorrect on everything. And you'll be able to change the name, by the way, of your add and remove tag tools, custom tools, doing extraction and transfer tools. You'll be able to change the name of them because right now it just saves like what it does. But if you want to change the name, you can do it. But is it the timeout?
Yeah, I think I'm just having issues, like, because it takes maybe 10 or 20 seconds for build chip, because it's using an OpenAI or a Claude assistant in build chip that then queries a database depending on the variables we send over.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe taking a few too long seconds, and then it's just like continue the conversation. So I'm not sure if that's the issue, or now I need to have a cache at the end of the build chip, or if there's, yeah.
Would it be reasonable to allow inside the custom tool prompting to set a custom and default timeout for that tool call?
I was about to say that might make some sense for those specific use cases.
Wavelength, Jordan. Wavelength.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, it's like every time I get on these calls, everybody's like, "Can we do this?" I'm like, "Dude, you already know it.
I mean,
you already know
yeah,
it."
I think even like the prompting, like even opening up the prompting for it, like skateboard it, whatever works. Yeah, but yeah, serve everyone else first. I can wait.
What's it? So you have a Claude assistant hooked up to a data source that's like doing parsing and then outputting the parsing result.
Yes, it's got like a filter, and then the OpenAI or Claude assistant's got instructions on price, area, location, and then it goes to Superbase and then uses the filter that I give it to check those columns, and then just pulls back the matching listings. But then again, it might be completely different now with V2. Might be able to change the structure. Now we can do like OpenAI. We can do OpenAI freaking like lane switches. Like you can tell it like according to the query from Assistable, go down this path or go down that path. But then I guess that's still timing out. Maybe, I don't know.
Is this in the network build chip or is this on a private build chip?
Yeah, it's all under my knowledge base folder under my name. I can send you the remix links if you want.
I'll take a look in here. Hold on.
Is it possible that you have just too much data within where it's trying to pull? So you just like don't have enough tokens within that like within your Claude?
Yeah, that was one of the errors I was getting before, but that yeah. I
Wouldn't it be quicker?
a few different ways.
Do you have? Is it all like in like a spreadsheet?
It's all in a Superbase. It's my SQL database. Because
so to mitigate that, couldn't you have 3 different databases and have it do 3 calls? So I feel like it'd be quicker for it to do 3 calls with much smaller, like pulling much less. And
yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, totally.
Especially if you can
split it down from I split it down from like one massive thing down to like 10. I've got like 10 spreadsheets now, and then so I think maybe I have to split it again.
It's just all real estate.
Yeah, real estate, but it kind of transfers across to like anyone really who has big databases or are very specific, because like the FAQ, I tried to kind of hack it together with like the FAQ assistable upload, but the logic doesn't really work. Like you'd have to add like millions of FAQs, and then even if you've done that, you don't know if it's going to work because
and if you
and then
ever
it's
update it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I like this use case. This I'm just looking through here real quick. So we have
See, this is
location.
what I was saying, Jordan. Even with your own knowledge base, if there was a definition of what, like, as you're creating your knowledge base, you have all your subsections, where then you would put a description for the bot to, grab this subsection if in this case. So then for Harry, that'd be perfect because then he would be able to have that all into the bot where it could go, hey, if someone asks for something in this city at this price range, Harry could have all of the listings updated in that area kind of thing. And then the bot would know rather than going through everything to just directly follow the path to that specific section.
And or if you wanted to get insane with it, you could also build out a cache database. So the most recent questions, the most likely, I don't know exactly what the use case is here, but potentially
So
save you a lot of time.
How many tables are there? Is it just the one?
Just one. I could send you an example if you want.
And then
Harry,
Just
is the use case here that you have you're giving listings to borrowers that are looking for houses or what?
Yeah, so buyers, sellers, but yeah, mainly buyers. Just hey, we're doing it real basic at the moment, just like kind of replicating their old version of give us your dream home location, price, and type of house, and then from that trying to match from our 70 listings what listings match those criteria, and then from that we can send them the links for the images or send them what color the floor is, or because we've got about 70 details.
Who
per
manages
listing
the
as well.
data table? Is your client managing the data table for updating the listings when they sell and go pending and stuff like that, or do you have to do that?
So I'm creating the knowledge base management system for him. So eventually, like I've created another build ship knowledge base system where through the chat they can literally just upload their data through the chat, and then the Assistable cleans it and then uploads it to Superbase. And then another way was we're going to piggyback off their listing blast out, because they blast out their listings to a bunch of different platforms at once. And so I'm just going to piggy off that SQL sending, but that's a few different things. Like, so with the chat, they could be going through the house and then they could just add data talking to the AI, or to the chat, to the voice, and then it uploads it, cleans it. Because that was the biggest issue I was having, is the client was uploading the data into spreadsheet and Google Sheets, and you'd have a space there, or inconsistent number there, and it would mess everything up. So using Assistable to clean the data, send it to BuildShip, and then upload it is really sexy, but still
Wouldn't
wild away.
it be better to just do like a web scrape where it can gather the data of like the new listings? Because I'm sure their website's always updated with all their new listings, and then
that's what I've already done, and like used the like custom tool to pull that data in. But then we've got like 70 details per listing that aren't on the website, like including links and documents, and like I'm making this kind of AI like their personal assistant that knows freaking everything about the listings essentially. And instead of having to like opt in to get the document or whatever, or the person has to send it via email, it's all right there.
On this, I'm looking at get dream home copy.
Yeah.
Why not pass the parameter to just directly?
Yeah, 5-star was the old one. Let me just. I sent you the one in school. I think I sent you. Let me just pull up the build chip. I sent you a remix link in the school messages a few days ago. Build chip. Yeah, the 5-star was the old one. I went way too deep on database management, and 5-star almost blew my brain.
I think Louise, I'm going to butcher his last name, Garibay, built out something similar that you've built out, Harry. Probably not as advanced, but I talked to him about it for a second. Might be a good connection there.
Cool.
You said you sent this on school. Or
yeah. Yeah, it was on school. I mean, I'm just turning my Starlink on. It's morning here. Let me find it. Yeah, build ship here. Copy link. I'll send it in.
Is this a multi-step? Is this an embedding, search, embedding, and then is this how they all tie together, or is it just the one? Hold on.
So, because on that one, it hasn't been completing all the way through yet. So I was just waiting if there was going to be any custom tool updates. It's ready for those, just so that I could configure it. I've had other, like I've got, as you can see in there, I've got quite a few, and even when Claude was, giving me the result, and it was like, yeah, cool, here's a few recommendations. Assistable was giving me an error, so I was just like, is there? I guess, like, yeah, there's no, like, it just says error, and it's hard to know where's the error kind of coming from.
And
if
then
it's timing out or.
the output on build ship and the logs went through.
Yeah, like on the one I sent you, there's quite a few errors. But for example, even if there's an error in build ship from the assistant, and it's like, hey, I need, like, because the assistant will say like, hey, I don't have this or that, or this is wrong. It could be cool just to be able to send that to Assistable, and then I don't know, get them to speak together. But that could, create chaos too. So.
Yeah, I did this with a Stripe type similar thing. This remix link won't open. They just went to V2 today or yesterday. I don't know what's going on. Hold on. Yeah, it's not letting me open remix link. But is it? I'm in the network one. Get Dream Home salesperson.
Like, my logic here might be way out. Like, I'm in deep water that I've never been in before with this database stuff, but I know in terms of enterprise and then just general AI workflows, this kind of solution is huge, right? Being able to really, because then you can embed and vectorize very specific bits of data, and
yep.
But then with your new knowledge-based system, how does that, like, am I just kind of, doing something that might be useless? And yeah.
So the workflow of it's not just make a post call, get back the filtered data. It's make a post call and then do some processing to that data and then send it back.
You're asking about the custom tool call?
Yeah, it wouldn't let me open the remix link.
Oh. Wait, so you want the prompt from Assistable or from build ship?
The build ship workflow.
Let's see if I can. Yeah, I mean, if you guys don't have time today, this might be a bit deep. Let me just see if I got my Wi-Fi's on now. So, yeah, so that I sent the images in the chat in terms of the actual. The actual tool call from Assistable, and then here's the link. Because the cool thing with V2 as well, that automatically matching. They've got like an automatic matcher for the when you do a custom tool call, you can match it with the REST API thingy, whereas before you kind of had to write them out yourself. Oh, I'm not. Oh, that's right. Just because when you map, like it doesn't need to be mapped, but when you're doing this kind of stuff, it helps a lot to map it and then play with it a bit better.
What chat did you send it in?
Let's see. Yeah, build ship's being weird. I can't even get in build ship.
Yeah, they did their update. I am not a huge fan of it. I got early access to it, and I don't like. The idea was to make it easier, but I kind of like where I can just do body.orgs, but they're doing input mapping.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to take up any more of you guys' time. Like this, I'll just keep playing with it, and I'll put a video up, and if anyone could shine any light, I'd really appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can get you something on that because I think there's an easier way to do it, but I'll also check request timeout on that too.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. There are no other hands up, and we've hit about the 2-hour mark, just over. Is there anything else you want to go over last minute, Jordan?
No, that's it. I'm just gonna crank out some Red Bulls and finish this up.
Honestly, I wish that you wouldn't. I see that behind you. I'm like,
oh my god, I know. I was looking at that. What we got there? 20?
Something like that. Oh, this is like the whole week's, but this is like
that's the week. Okay,
it's been like an intensive thing, and also like
that's like 2 a day.
That's crazy.
It's a lot more than 2 a day, but we're running like 24-hour cycles right now, just so I can, be up to answer stuff in the community and build like the crash courses and stuff. But I can also kind of just see things that are happening, and so we can just preemptively mitigate it. And I'm also trying to keep up with vendors too, so that we can match their cadence on them airing out. But this should at least encompass us, and I mean, there shouldn't be anything we have to worry about after this. And if it is, it's because someone updated something, and then we can just update it quicker because of the way this infrastructure is kind of set up. And so things like knowledge, good to go. Things like voice knowledge, good to go. Higher voice customization and situation handling, good to go. You have the call center tab if you want to use that. If not, we'll send all dispositions as tags, and the post call webhook is like post call webhook, and the contact notes webhook is way more robust. And I don't know if I'll get it done in time, but maybe we'll get the custom conversation provider in there so that we can just show the calls inside of Go High Level Conversations, just making it easier. From yesterday, 11 labs and like all of your tool calling and everything should be good to go. I just pushed a patch right before we got on here. I think it's finished. And so everything should be good to go. You'll have an agency wallet system for things like these variable cost, and then you'll be able to connect to your personal Stripe to be able to rebuild those to clients. I will have a migration guide because there's a couple aspects to this. You may have voice minutes, you may have negative voice minutes. If you have negative voice minutes, it's just going to be a part, and we'll figure it out. Or discounted bill, haven't decided yet because I want to be fair to everybody here. And then those who have voice minutes, to compensate for the wallet system, we're going to buy back your voice minutes and credit your wallet. And so if you have like 10,000 minutes, we'll buy them back at cost. That way we can fill up your wallet. Like we can convert numbers to money, and then we can use the wallet system for that. And then things like chat will have more robust queuing. We'll also have less traffic so that we can filter through there. And then we'll have 2 fallbacks. We'll have a personal fallback for tag checking, a personal fallback for message checking. And then we'll also have an extra safety parameter of checking conversation IDs in a way for you, even if all else fails, to restart everything and send it back to us. I don't foresee that having to be a thing, but at least The idea here is 100% uptime. And so we'll have every resource available for 100% uptime. And the same thing on calls. All dispositions will be brought back with elaborations on it. So you don't just see, what would be categorized as an error. You'll see voicemail not available. And then what that actually means is we tried to call them, it rang through, we tried to leave a voicemail, or we got the voicemail and it said it was full. So technically an error. But the idea is here is let's build resources rather than patching all day. It may just make it easier. And that way we can build cooler solutions in the future. So I hope that's at least a good tangible update, but that's my plan for this. That's why it's taken longer than it should. That's why it's running 24-hour stints. Is the idea is like, just want you guys to have the best. And that way we can work on resources around this too. Because it's getting competitive. So I hope that's helpful. I'm going to get back to it. I'm going to hopefully finish this up by tomorrow morning, I hope. And then that way we can go ahead and have some resources around it. And then by Monday, everything should be in place. And then we can start having more tangible calls around this. In fact, I had this idea, I think it was with Alex, I was just talking with right before we got on here about doing more calls like this with things like roast your prompt, where we can submit assistance, because that's a thing, you can exchange assistance now. And then we'll do like a roast your prompt session and then like make it better. And so we'll go through and have some fun with some stuff like that. So
what's the best testing environment? Is it to make a live chat bot and go back and forth with it?
Yeah, live chat, SMS, something like that, because that kind of goes through like the live pre and post processing and tool calling. But the way we're going to do it for even this this test environment that I'm building now is we'll have, when you go to test an assistant, we'll have a fake contact and go high level that's technically kind of assigned to that assistant. That way we can run your messages kind of through a prod environment, but it's at no cost to you, and it's displayed in the portal for testing. So that way we can run everything, calendar booking, everything, you get everything, but it's not something that costs money. Like as far as like go high level texting, because I know that's, that's something for some people. But we'll have a section in there, and then like a, why is it doing XYZ? Why is it saying XYZ? We can take a look at like tool call output. We can take a look at your messaging and take a look at the prompt and say, okay, change this. This will get you where you need to be. Kind of like the knowledge-based testing thing.
That's pretty cool. That'll be the part of the V1 or 2.1, whatever you're calling it.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
I sent that text over to you too, Jordan. Really good time.
Thank you for everyone for asking good questions. Thank you to especially Alex and Jason for helping out and solving some issues. And thank you, Jordan, for not only helping out with troubleshooting, but making these calls important and listening to your user base on the next version. Appreciate it.
Yep. Hope it's helpful. I hope everybody's excited, because I know
have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Bye.
Like
You too, Johnny.
all right. See you on.